Given is looking down on pocket aces. He checks. With stacks behind, that is very underused value. He has every advantage, range, position on future streets, and a hand that wants to start inflating the pot. The board improves, Given to quads. Seaver still has kings and aces with a 9 kicker. Given checks again. That traps Seaver, but it keeps the pot tiny on a board where Seaver is supposed to have a lot hanging on this one pair. With aces in this configuration, betting small on the turn is higher value. He can comfortably get called by any king, by pocket pairs like queens, and by a lot of sticky bluffs. Given finally bets 3,000 into 10,000. This size is too small. After checking twice with the nuts, he should now target exactly the kind of medium strength hand Seaver has. A larger bet, even pot-sized, still gets called by any king.
Wait. Maybe I can beat this hand.
Is that you?
Yeah.
What happened? Where the rest of the pot?
Not much action.
Oh, well, what could he have?
Oh, you checked all the way?
Well, yeah, I got...
No, he bet the end.
And you paid him off?
Negreanu is looking down on Jack 10 suited. Lichtenberger opens the hijack and both stacks behind are deep, so the pre-flop incentives matter. With aces, raising to 45K keeps in dominated broadways and pairs while leaving room to play streets post-flop instead of taking a huge 4-bet pot this close to the business end of a major event. Negreanu flats the cutoff with Jack 10 suited. Against a competent hijack opener and a sticky big blind, that hand prints by realizing equity rather than trying to 3-bet. If he 3-bets, he invites a 4-bet from value, folds out the weaker stuff he dominates, and risks playing a bloated pot with a hand that prefers multi-way, position, and disguised equity. D bleeds into 2 players. With top pair and a backdoor club, he denies overcards a free look and sets the price on a texture that can change quickly. Lichtenberger just calls with aces. That's deliberate, raising polarizes him on a wet board and risks pushing out Negreanu's dominated continues. With the ace of clubs, he blocks the nut flush, so he doesn't fear as many bad turns and can keep ranges wide. Negreanu's call with Jack 10 is standard. He has the clean open-ender to the nuts, excellent position, and 2 opponents who will pay him off if he hits. Turning this into a raise would fold out worse and isolate against the top of range. The 7 of clubs hits, and Negreanu picks up the straight at the same time the front door flush completes. Lichtenberger checks as well, which keeps his range disguised and preserves the option to spring a check raise. With aces that include the ace of clubs, he can induce a bet, choose between calling and jamming, and if he is behind, he carries 9 outs to the nuts. Negreanu fires 295K to tax everything at once. The bet extracts from 2 pairs and sets that fear a 4th club, charges single club over pairs that refuse to fold, and denies a cheap river to ace of clubs holdings that would love a free card. The sizing is intentional because it sets up a straightforward stack off versus a check raise, and avoids giving a volatile river the chance to undo his equity lead.
Feeling comfortable right now. See? You can tell by my energy. Relaxed. What does that usually mean? Huh? What? Dang! As soon as I start yapping, he goes in. Oh, man.
Imagine that you are so good with the mind games that you can induce an all-in shove with just some yapping.
It's tough decision. I'm gonna need a minute.
While we wait for Negreanu to make his decision, please give this video a like. Thank you.
Because you check the turn. I guess you do that with the ace-high flush, right? Well, you have to have it. I don't think I can fold, though. Nice hand, bro.
This part here was inaudible, but you can clearly see that he is saying deuce of hearts a few times.
Called the deuce of hearts. Were you hearing me saying deuce of hearts?
Doug Polk is looking down at pocket aces, but he's up against LSG Hank, who's raised to $6,000 with ace-jack suited. From the small blind, players are often expected to 3-bet to protect their position. That dynamic makes Polk's aces even more dangerous because they don't look as strong as they are. That kind of 3-bet sizing almost looks like he's trying to scare Hank off the hand rather than invite action. But that's exactly the beauty of it. Polk wants to trick Hank into thinking it's just an attempt to steal the pot, when really Doug is just setting the trap. The suited ace and being in position here gives Hank just enough to justify seeing a flop. This is about as good a flop as Polk could hope for. In a 3-bet pot like this, Hank's range is weighted towards suited broadways and pocket pairs. That means the only real hand Polk has to worry about is pocket queens. Against everything else, his aces are still miles ahead. Polk makes a value bet of around 1/3 of the pot, just small enough to make sure Hank calls even with hands that completely miss the flop.
Obviously, Rico's just going to lose, right?
And he now has the nut flush draw. 111,000 in the middle. Guess how much Doug will bet. It's like a little poker test. See how close you are.
Doug Polk is feeling pretty comfortable with this card on the turn. With the way they played pre-flop, there's no way Hank has 2 pair or a set smaller than queens. I think Doug should bet small again.
81. All right.
I'm telling him he should be using big ante online. You should pay,
Hank puts in the call. He needs a diamond. Instead, it's the 9 of hearts.
The river changes absolutely nothing here. Do you think Polk should check and just call if Hank bets, or should he bet here and risk getting raised? Let me know down in the comments.
200,000. Beautiful poker.
all in.
All in.
All in, says Hank.
Spade, I fold. Heart, we do it again.
This is amazing.
Fold.
Show him.
Kamel is looking down on pocket aces. He raises to 18,000 over the big blind. Jedlicka defends the big blind with 8-5 suited. Pre-flop is fine. Kamel isolates, keeps weaker hands in, and goes heads up with position disadvantage, but a huge range and hand advantage. The flop comes rainbow with an ace. Kamel has top set on a fairly draw-heavy board. There are straight draws, backdoor flush, and a lot of top pair and second pair combos that will pay him. The pot is 42,000 and Kamel bets only 14,000. That tiny continuation bet gives Jedlicka a very good price with almost his entire range, including exactly 8-5 suited. With top set and a big range advantage, a larger bet around 2/3 pot punishes draws and starts building a stack to pot ratio where he can get all the money in by the river. The first mistake is sizing too small and letting a suited junk hand continue cheaply. Now the board has 2 clubs. Jedlicka picks up a real flush draw to go with his pair. The pot is 70,000. This is the street where Kamel really misplays the aces. With top set on a board that has just become much more dangerous, he should keep betting for value and protection. A strong line is a big second barrel that makes any draw pay a high price, or a check only if he is prepared to check raise all in. Instead, he checks. That check caps his range and invites Jedlicka to bet all of his draws. Jedlicka bets 36,000. Kamel only calls. He has allowed the big blind to realize a huge chunk of equity very cheaply. After the small flop bet and the passive check call here, the suited 8-5 is getting an excellent price to chase clubs and some straight outs. The river is the queen of clubs. Jedlicka gets there. The pot is 142,000 and Kamel checks again. After betting small on the flop and check calling the turn, this last check leaves him in no man's land. Against good opponents, this line almost never represents a strong hand. If Kamel believed his top set was still ahead often enough, he should be value betting the river himself and folding only to a big raise. If he believed the flush is there too often, the better play was to charge the draw harder on the flop and turn instead of giving it cheap cards. Jedlicka chooses to check back the flush and take the pot without risking a check raise, but that is his decision. The structural mistake is earlier. Kamel has turned pocket aces into a hand that wins only a medium pot when ahead and loses a big one when behind. Hon Chong is holding pocket aces. Tedeshi 3 bets to 140,000 from the big blind after Hon Chong opens in the hijack. That 3 bet is standard. It targets all the usual open hands, weaker aces, Broadway hands, and medium pairs. Hon Chong calls with pocket aces. By just calling, he keeps Tedeshi's entire value and bluff range in. He also keeps the pot smaller with a hand that does not need protection. The board comes right for a flush, top pair, top kicker with a front door flush draw for Tedeshi. He continuation bets 162,000. Size is a bit on the big side, but it makes sense. He has a big range edge and a strong hand. He gets value from queens, worse kings, and draws. Han Chong just calls. With aces, he controls the pot and keeps all Tedeshi's bluffs in. Raising would fold out the air and only continue against very strong value, like sets and top pair top kicker. Calling also protects his calling range on future streets. The turn is a low brick, nothing obvious completes. Tedeshi now shoves all in for his remaining stack. This is the key decision. Once he chooses this line, he is saying he wants to play for stacks against the entire continuing range of the preflop caller. In practice, that continuing range is very strong. Sets, strong kings, some slow-played overpairs, very few worse hands, almost no pure bluffs. With ace-king, this shove is too optimistic. Normal high-stakes strategy is to keep betting, but to size down and leave room for a river decision or to check some of the time. Shoving removes all bluffs from his range in the eyes of his opponent and turns his hand face up as a very strong but beatable one-pair type hand. It also gives Hon Chong a simple call or fold choice for his entire stack instead of forcing him to make multiple tough decisions. Holding pocket aces, Han Chong folds. It looks tight but makes sense. His opponent has 3-bet preflop, fired big on the flop, and now rips the turn on a board that heavily favors that 3-betting range.
Sashimi opens up with pocket aces. She is staring deep in the eyes of her friend Brittany and has raised to the modest $110.
Thank you, Geraldine. I appreciate that. I'm like trying to figure it out. Like, what is going on there?
Anybody?
I didn't want to play it.
Get out of here. Get out of
somebody squeeze, please.
We almost get a family pot like in the Jennifer Tilly game that you should check out in the description after finishing this video.
7.
Brittany doesn't get the 7 she wished for, but the flop delivers a 10 for Jamie, just enough to look like she is winning in her eyes. So Sashimi can squeeze her with the aces. Sashimi starts off with a small bet of $400, trying to see how this low-hanging pot landed for the people on the 5-way pot. To which Brittany snap calls and Jamie takes an unusually long time to think about calling, and we can see why. She decides $400 is too low and raises Sashimi's bet to $2,000. To which both Coco and Brittany with the pocket 6s and 7s decide it's too expensive to play and fold, and Sashimi with a smile on her face calls. The turn comes the 4 of clubs, to which Sashimi checks, trying to fish out the all-in jam from Jamie. And if she was aiming for that good job because.
Jamie is all in, and Sashimi's got her killed. Jamie looking for a 10 ball.
5? 10.
Give her a 10. Give her a 10.
I did a 5.
10.
10.
Oh!
You asked for
Oh, you got what you asked for.
Wow.
Jamie was in such bad shape.